Hey guys, welcome back to some more Master of the Wind. Well, I'm sorry it's been so long since I did one of these. I don't know, I just haven't been feeling super creative. I don't have much of a creative urge. It's too bad because I sure have enough unfinished projects. But I don't know, last few months I just haven't really been doing much other than, I'm watching my kids, of course. We have so much snow here. Boreal looks like my backyard right about now. So between that and them being sick, they haven't spent a whole lot of time at school, so busy with that. But yeah, just playing a lot of video games and watching movies, and that's about it. I don't know, but we're just taking a little walk around Boreal before I go into the town. And of course, this is a returning town from Clean Slate, and I used the same music for it, which I was pretty happy to do. I like that kind of thing, even though since Clean Slate wasn't available when this came out, it was sort of lost on people. But this particular song, it's from the Songs of Time album, which was one of the Echo the Dolphin games. Had like a couple releases. It was on the regular Sega Genesis, and that had its own soundtrack. And then there was a Sega CD version that had a CD quality soundtrack. And that's the one that I use here, a song from it. And so if you ever, if you're walking around on a snowy day with some headphones, this song really kind of makes it magical. Especially, when it's like early, when the snow's first falling down and everything looks nice. After a while, enough cars and stuff drive by that it's all like covered in dirt and it's kind of gross. But new fallen snow is a pretty beautiful thing. And this is relatively faithful to the layout of the original Boreal, not quite as huge. And of course, the NPCs are not as wild, although there's a few weird ones. You can go in. You can go in here and you get this whole little thing where you can get some early practice in on the quick draw game with Finley and get a new gun for your trouble. So cheaper parts. That's an outrage. These guns aren't toys. Guys, I'm just enjoying this dialogue. It's just funny. So the thing with Boreal, in terms of its role in the story, is basically to demonstrate this sort of more positive side of faith in Solist. I often get accused of just hating on religion in a general sense, but it's not really how I see it. I never saw it that way. I just think that it's easy to take a hateful idea and give it some supposed legitimacy by saying oh no, it's my religion. And look, it's not like everybody can think what they want, but a lot of times it goes beyond that. People start trying to change the law just to like shit on people because they think their religion tells them to. And it's just one of those things that people miss. It's a very personal thing, and if, like, just to use gay rights as an example, if you personally don't agree with gay rights, then whatever. It's not like they're gonna not like you have to change your mind. It's just you can't expect everybody else to go along with it, and that's for anything. Like Catholics say you're not supposed to eat meat on a Friday, or whatever that is. And, well, tough shit. People are going to eat meat on Friday, but at least they know enough not to try and get that turned into a law, which you can't say for some people. But that's not the only thing people do with religion, and I wanted to have characters who who are motivated to do good things, because I think it's good for that. Ideally people just do things because it's a good thing to do, but sometimes you need that little extra meaning, and hey, if it works, it works. And so I brought back some characters from Clean Slate, Dasani's not in it really, but she's discussed a lot, and that was primarily her role in Clean Slate as well, was to sort of provide a counter argument to all the stuff you kept hearing about Gallia. So I find it hard, I'm kind of surprised that you'll still get people who say that this game's just uniformly anti-religion, even after playing the whole thing. Or maybe they don't play the whole thing, who knows. But I assume some of them do. But I don't know, I guess maybe I missed something, maybe I didn't make it prominent enough. I'm really not sure. And I've been seeing my wife's church. My wife's a pastor. I don't know if I've mentioned that before, but so of course it would make it pretty hard for me to be totally anti-religion and have a wife who's making a living from that. But they've been doing a lot of stuff lately. They helped some refugees from Syria move into our neighborhood, and found a house for them, got furniture from people, just set everything up. Still trying to kind of get them used to the culture. And there's a lot of talk about refugees being dangerous, but it's total horseshit. I mean, never mind the statistics that say that no terrorist crime in America has ever been committed by somebody who came in through a refugee program. If you meet these people, they're fucking harmless. I mean, they played catch with my kids. I don't know. I don't get it. And I'm sorry if this gets political again. But I don't know. I feel like that's one of the hallmarks of the time that we're living in right now, is that everything's political. The Super Bowl was political. The Grammys were political. The Oscars are going to be, oh my God, the Oscars. It's going to be just person after person, getting their awards and saying how much Trump sucks. It's just going to be the guy who wins sound editing is going to go up there and be like, oh, well, thank you for recognizing the sound effects I made, and Trump's a racist. And look, it's not they're going to say anything I disagree with, more or less, but sometimes you get that kind of herd mentality, where people are only doing it because it just seems to be the thing to do and not out of pure conviction. I used to cover Board of Education meetings when I was a journalist, and you'd go to these hearings about the school budget, and it would be, and the room would be stacked with teachers, and every time somebody said that the school should have more money in the budget, they'd all applaud. So it was, anybody who was hoping to trim the budget was probably feeling outnumbered. And you get people up there just going up and saying the most basic things, oh yeah, well, our school should be funded, and then they'd get a huge fucking round of applause. So I would always joke that all you had to do was go up there and be school's good, and they would clap. And look, and I'm not against that too. I would, especially now that I got kids at school, I would prefer, that they were funded, of course. But it's just funny. And I've been thinking a lot about playing this game again. There's a theme of it's not as prominent now. It gets more prominent later. There's a theme of just sort of the responsibilities of each generation to kind of preserve peace and such, and I'm really feeling that now. Here's Grinfrak. I'll talk about him in a minute. I just want to finish my thought. But and I'm really feeling that now. Like my great grandparents came to America from Poland. Well, I mean, obviously, we all have multiple pairs of great grandparents, but that for one of them was from Poland, and the town where they came from, you can't even find it anymore. The Nazis just wiped it off the map, and and we thought we were done with Nazis. But I mean, I think about my 93-year-old grandmother. After everything the Nazis did to Poland, I can't imagine how she feels that there's a Nazi advising the president. Oof, that is just sad. And my grandfather too. He fought the Nazis in World War II. I'm glad he didn't live to see what's happening in our country. It's really a sad thing. And maybe we're jumping the gun. I mean, it's not like. It's only been like 3 weeks, even though it's felt like fucking 500 years. But it's just you see things, and if you know history, it gets a little scary. But anyway, about Grinfrak, I do want to talk about Grinfrak. This is his last, significant appearance for a while. A lot of times with characters, even like villainous ones, I try to give them like at least like one redeeming quality, if not more. Sometimes it takes a while for that to surface, but I try to do it, except for Grinfrak. Grinfrak is just a piece of shit. He's like every bully that I ever met. Just like a loudmouth. He thinks he's always right. He's an idiot. He doesn't know it. He's always insulting people. Always defensive, thinking that he's like, not getting the respect he deserves, even though he doesn't do anything to earn respect. So, in the United States, we call that presidential. This fight's a little harder than I remember. We went back and forth a lot on whether, still taking down my dishes. We went back and forth a lot about whether we were going to have Laurel in this fight. And there were actually some early versions that did have Laurel in the fight. Just, we thought it was a good chance for people to, like, kind of get used to her moveset and stuff before we threw him into a dungeon. But I think Mark was concerned that it wasn't balanced. It was too unbalanced, I guess, to have Laurel. That made the fight too easy. Because she could cure. You have it, and the fight probably is more balanced this way. Because I'm having to. I'm working pretty hard to beat this one, and I remember I used to cruise through it probably when Laura was in it. So it was probably the right call. And unfortunately, we never got a Grinfrak battler. I think it would be pretty cool looking. This one's still got some like weird little things like the shackle. I don't know why he's wearing a shackle. And he doesn't have the loincloth. I always felt weird that the big ogre sprite was naked. So we had Lunaria make a loincloth. And originally, when she first did it, it was like one piece of cloth hanging down, and it looked extremely phallic. So I was like, maybe we want to make the loincloth a little wider. So she came back with the 3-part one, and it looks a lot better. But if you can imagine like the two on either side missing, you'll get a sense of what it looked like. So we're done with that, and then we're getting into this thing here with Auburn, and her theme music is this. Excuse me. is this melody from The Incredibles. It's not the main melody. It'll be a little too recognizable. It's a sort of secondary one that gets played a bunch of times. And I don't know. There's something about the jazzy feel of that music struck me as good for Auburn, even though it clashes kind of hard with the rest of the soundtrack. Like, we have a lot of, kind of Celtic-y, New Age ambient stuff, and then this song's not so bad because it's very quiet and subtle, but the other versions of it, you get some kind of trumpets blaring and such. But it works for Auburn, but it's kind of clashes a bit. It'd be really great to have like a full soundtrack for this game. But it'd be great for it'd be great to have a lot of things. And this is a scrolling picture that I made at the time, but when I actually did the Coromant map for much later in the game, I used this as a reference. So these structures, you find them when you're walking around there towards the end. And what else was I going to say? I lost my train of thought. Oh, rats. I guess I'll come back later. But, it's really bugging me. What was I going to say? I guess I ought to make notes before I do this stuff, huh? But we're heading into a series of scenes that I particularly like, and I'll get into some more detail about that. Just look for some feedback, that's all. I remember. It's not totally related to what I was talking about, but I've been playing a lot of Dragon Age, the third one, Inquisition. I know it came out like years ago, but I'm just getting around to it now. It's just my life. But it's basically world remade. Like it's really funny. I mean, I can't remember. Like, if you play those games, there's a thing called the Fade, where demons are. It's like the astral plane kind of, and I think the sort of the whole summoning aspect of Master of the Wind is kind of similar to that. Although I'm not sure which one came first. I can't remember what year the first Dragon Age came out, but I think we had some of Master of the Wind done. But there's like there's tears in the Fade. That's a big part of Inquisition, and you go around closing them. And it was just so funny, like playing it. I'm like, holy shit, this is world remade. It's a group of people of different races, and they're going around and they're shutting the tears in the Fade, and they're trying to establish like a town or whatever. And it's just funny. I mean, so I don't know if World Remade will ever be finished. I hope it is, because I really like the idea. I really like the characters. I really want to do some of those characters someday. But in case it's not, there's always Dragon Age Inquisition. You get a little taste of what we were going for. Although actually, I was, Mark and I had some conversation about it not too long ago, and he mentioned something about how if we were ever to get back to it, he would want to kind of like change the concept a little bit and make it so that the first town that they kind of liberate from the Lich who's got everybody enslaved, you would spend the rest of the game kind of recruiting people and making that town better. So I think the Church of the Sacred Oath that Rustic Tone is searching for would be there. So he would have, gotten there and completed his pilgrimage. But since he's stranded because the ships were destroyed in the Ring of Fire, he would, start building up that town and bringing in the other party members. And I think he's on something there. I think that would be cool. But who knows? He's down in Florida. Mark is enjoying the friggin' sun, while I'm, here in the frozen tundra. So I'm going to buy a few pieces of armor here so that I can use some of the recipes, because a lot of them use the area equipment as like a base. So I get a couple of that stuff, and then when I start getting parts from the dungeon, I'll be able to make some cool stuff. Alright, so we're going on a date with Auburn, but before that, we have this, and this is like one of my favorite scenes in the game. Mark did such a good job mapping this, and the music, it's from Might and Magic 6, is so good. And I don't know, this scene moves the shit out of me. It really does. And it was one of those things where, like, you didn't necessarily I didn't necessarily think it would be like that when I was kind of, drawing up the plot for this arc. It was just kind of okay, well, we should have Stoic paying his respects, and then we'll move on. But it was just I don't know, just one of those things that turned out really well. I think this arc and next arc 4, we were probably, I think a lot of people would say we were sort of at our best in terms of both the writing and the dungeon design, even though I think there's plenty of good stuff in the rest of the game. But there was a certain, I don't know, everything seemed to be firing on all cylinders while we were doing these 2 arcs. And I think people do feel that way. I think this is pretty popular stuff. Alright, so here we are at the flashback, and I want to point out quite a few cameos. If you look in the upper right corner, you've got Nova from Clean Slate and a Griffin, which is some foreshadowing on, that's going to be important later. Queen Ariana's there with the green hair. And we've got like that one dwarf sprite, which I think is supposed to be the Dwarven King. But there really aren't that many dwarf sprites in RPG Maker, so a lot of them got kind of reused. And it actually looks like there's a mapping error. If you look at the right near that ladder, it looks like Turnus and whoever he was talking to, might have been Arius, I think, got cut off. So that's too bad. And this speech, this way that Dasani's talking, it's very, like, I don't know, I really want to communicate, like, what I thought religion, is capable of when it's at its best. And like I was saying before, I just wanted to just paint, like, another picture. We've seen, like, the bad things that could happen, but, like, what are some good things that could happen if people kind of thought about the perspective a little bit. And you wonder, it's so funny that, like, people within a religion can disagree so much. Just because the source text is so open to interpretation, it's just funny how that can happen. But yeah, if I've written a better scene than that one, I can't think of it. I don't mean to toot my own horn, but I'm just really proud of that one. And this one is good too. I was sort of stoked about using this Apocalyptica song, because it was kind of going to be the romance theme between Sod and Auburn, but it's funny. It's so long, and it takes so long to build up that you really can't like use it that much. It's only used one other time. And the whole thing is, one on the dialogue's all on auto scroll, whatever you want to call it. And so, because just the way that the song goes, it's designed to complement a certain build up, and I think I may have been able to do it without it. I guess I could have just like kind of let it go and just if the music's not synced up right, then oh well. But I had a hard time with that. I really wanted to use RPG Maker to just get to a very cinematic effect. I still do. Although I know that these like automatic scenes aren't everybody's cup of tea. Although I like this bit here. The little girl skating. I think that looks alright. I wish I could have like a little scrape, following her like you see with ice skates, but that didn't happen. And here they're having this very candid conversation about like loss and moving on and things like that. And they discover that they really have a lot in common, other than just kind of, because before there's this mutual attraction, but they don't really seem to know each other very well. But now this is where they sort of get to realize that they both have had like major traumas, and are sort of struggling to find their place. And it's not often that people talk about this in real life. I mean, you have to be really comfortable and close to somebody to open up about that stuff. At least that's my experience. And and of course this is typical like superhero luck. They leave for 1 minute and then shit hits the fan. Can't ever enjoy yourself. And here we have Goma. And Goma is a sick fuck. I was saying the villains have redeeming qualities, but I don't know. This guy might not either. He doesn't have a very big role, but he's just kind of a creep. And then Finley discovers that they're using guns, fire magic, and Stoic's not used to seeing that, so he thinks it's just a really fast spell, but Finley knows it's a gun. And then Auburn rushes in and has this really funny moment here. She's just, it's like, hey, who's this? Go away. Just get out of my way. And then there's a big romantic moment between the two of them. And we have this whole, like, it was Despain who made this whole, like, kissing sprite animation. It's pretty elaborate. I mean, be sure to look at it at the bottom. There's, like, a lot of poses. And I was pretty impressed when I saw that. And I don't usually have too many moments like that in my stuff. I tend to be kind of I tend to underplay romance. It tends to be sort of bubbling beneath the surface rather than explode in big moments like that. But given the two characters and sort of how outspoken and dramatic they are, it's you sort of have to do it that way, or else it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. Finley and Laurel are better candidates for the sort of shy, tentative romance, but of course they just met, so there's not much going on with that right now. So I suppose we'll wrap this up after the scene, and then we'll be able to start right with the Ice Temple, and that should be a good time. Might be a couple entries too. That's a big honking dungeon. And I like to do all the stuff and get the goodies too. So we could be there for a while, even though obviously I know all the puzzles. And well, I shouldn't talk too much about it now because it's coming up. But and my brother's coming into town this weekend, so maybe I'll be able to get him back here for another Let's Play. Those are always better. I wish I had somebody to talk to every time, but then there'll be an even longer wait for these things, and that'll be a little sad. So anyway, thanks for listening to me kind of vent a little bit at the beginning about just shitty state that America's in. It really can get you down. But I guess I just have to hope that it'll pass. I mean, God, there's so many scandals coming there. I don't know how it could fucking last for 4 years. But, I don't know. Maybe that's just the reality. Maybe any president would have been, drowning in all sorts of stuff because it's just the way information is. There's so much information about everything. But anyway, just had to get off my chest, I guess, just because it's been so long since I've had a chance to do one of these. So I hope the next one comes a little quicker. And like I said, I hope I'm able to get my brother in on it. And I remember Mark said he actually wants to talk about the Ice Temple, but since he's in Florida, I don't think that's gonna happen. But anyway, talk to you guys later. Peace.